Hi, this is Brent, and I wanted to let you know about some upcoming dates of mine. And by dates, I mean stand up comedy shows that I'm doing, though you wish they were romantic, don't you? So, February 4th, I'm doing a show at the Brea Improv in Brea, California. That's in Orange County, if you're in that area. And I think Andrew Michon and Max and Nikki will be on that show, the comedy duo Max and Nikki, who also happen to be my brothers. And that is on February 4th. That's a Wednesday. So that's that. On February 5th, I'm doing a show at the Ojai Playhouse in Ojai, California. Ojai is, I don't know, near Ventura County, around there. And that is with Neil Hamburger and Mikey Kapman and Angie Stroud. And then February 25th, I'm doing a show in Hollywood, California, or West Hollywood, really. It's at the Melrose Improv in West Hollywood on Melrose Avenue. I think it's an avenue. I don't know if it's... I'm pretty sure it's Melrose Avenue, not Melrose Street. And that will be... I don't know who's going to be on that show yet, but probably my brothers will be on that. I don't know, maybe somebody like Moshe Kasher or something like that. We'll see. I gotta plan that out. But anyway, that's February 25th. That's a Wednesday. And I think it's a 7:30 show. But I'll be doing I'll be doing a longer set for that too. Actually, all these shows I'll be doing longer sets for. And this is way off in the future, but May 7th, the Comedy Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. Check that out, all right? Because I know some of you Bostonians out there probably want to check out a live show, and that's your chance to do it. Let's get it set up. Let's get it set up ahead of time, okay? Let's set this up now. I know it's months in advance, but let's get things set up. If we get tickets sold now, I mean, people at the Comedy Studio are going to be thinking, wow, okay, this guy's got some serious influence here. He's got people. He only has 7 listeners to his podcast, and yet he's selling 10 tickets. How's that work out? How's that math work? He's up 3 tickets than he ought to be. So let's get those tickets sold. Let's sell it out, in fact. And now on to the show. Welcome to the Brent Weinbach podcast. My name is Brent Weinbach, and I posted a picture recently on the internet. Maybe some of you saw it. It was, I don't know, kind of a strange scene, I think. It was at a restaurant, and it was me. Someone else took the picture, but I ordered at the restaurant what was described as candied bacon, and I thought that sounded pretty good. Or it sounded like something I wanted to try at least, and I thought it would go well with, I think I ordered some grits too. It was kind of a brunch situation. And anyway, the bacon came out, and the bacon was hanging from these clips. Okay, it was a black kind of rack, and the sides of the rack almost, I don't know, the way that the poles were, there were these sort of 2 poles on the sides with these sort of, I don't know, anchors or something like that, but they almost look like anal beads. And then there was a rack and these clips hanging from the rack, and the whole thing is black, and the bacon was clipped. There was 4 pieces of bacon, and they were clipped to the top of this rack, hanging. And it looked like a torture device. It looked like a a bondage. It looked like if I just saw that picture, I would have thought it was a bondage themed restaurant. And I thought it was disturbing for many reasons, because I thought, why would they, I mean, for one thing, well, first of all, it's just, visually, it looked a little dark for my, I mean, it just looked like something that I wouldn't want my food involved with. But second of all, the clips, I questioned how clean the clips were. Were the clips, do they put the clips in a washing machine, or are they just reusing the clips? Or is the rack being put in a washing machine? I was curious about how clean that was. But more importantly, I had to unclip it myself, and I didn't want to touch the bacon with my hands, so I had to use a fork, and I had to sort of fork the bacon and then unclip it, and it was all kind of precarious. And I also felt like this presentation sort of forced me to kind of play along with the whatever sort of sick charade they were proposing here. It's not sick. I mean, it's just sort of dark is all, and I wasn't trying to really be a part of a sadomasochistic breakfast or brunch or whatever. So anyway, I posted this picture and I was thinking about it, and I thought, it looked like it might have been, I mean, it looked like they were a torture device for bacon, and with the black and everything and the clips, it not only did it seem like there was some sort of discipline involved, it seemed, to me, it made me think, oh, this bacon is not candied. This bacon is fully gimped. It felt like gimped bacon, and I wondered, is this presentation of bacon insulting to the gimp way of life, or is it a celebration of gimpdom? So that's what I wondered. I wondered really what gimps thought of this. Are gimps offended, or are they turned on? Or do they feel recognized? So I asked my gimp friend, hey, do you think that this is insulting? Is this bacon insulting to your way of life, or do you view it more as a celebration of gimpdom? And my gimp friend said, because, his mouth was zipped. It was zipped closed, so it wasn't really, I guess when your mouth is shut like that, you can't really express yourself as well, but I think you actually can be pretty nuanced in the way you express yourself, even without, even if you're zipped shut. I said, well, okay, so you do approve? He said, which I understood to mean, he could see both sides of it. There's some pluses and minuses to it. Gimps can kind of get away with maybe saying things that they're socially not allowed to say, right? I guess socially they're not allowed to say anything. That's sort of part of being zipped up as a gimp, is you're not really meant to speak at all. But if you were to speak, if you were spoken to, and then you are to speak, then they could say things that, they might not be able to say. I mean, because in my dungeon, I forbid any use of the L word. The L word. I mean, some of you regular listeners know the L word. I'm not going to say it because I forbid it, but I'll spell it. It's Literally. And they say that, and then they can maybe say that word and get away with it. I might not. They might get away with it if I speak to them. I mean, they're not meant to speak unless spoken to, but if I speak to them and they speak and they answer me, they might say it. They might go, now, is that what's the actual translation of this? Do you know the answer to this, Gimp? And the Gimp goes, So in that phrase that he just said, he did actually, try to say the L word, and I did kind of notice it because even though he kind of slurred the syllables, that's 4 syllables, it kind of sounded more like 3. I think I still did catch when he said it. Well, the reason I think I caught it is because, I'm the one who said it because I'm the one who acted it out. But if I wasn't acting it out, I think I would have. I don't know if I would. I guess what I'm saying is, you might be able to get away with it. But if you really want to be a true Gimp and you want to be loyal to me as your master, then you do not say it even when you're zipped. Do I make myself clear? No, look, I'm no master to any Gimp. I don't want to be any part of it. No disrespect to anybody who is a part of that, but I'm not really trying to be a part of that. And yet I was forced to be a part of that. When I had that bacon at the restaurant. I guess having that bacon at that restaurant kind of forced me to become some sort of master, I guess, But yeah, I guess Gimps can really look. I don't even want you getting away with it around me. Okay, would you do me that favor? But around other people, you want to say the L word or other words that you are forbidden to speak, then, I guess by all means. What do you think I said there? What do you think the Gimp said there? That's it. Okay, this is actually, wow, I just thought of a really cool game show idea. It's called Guess the Gimp, or maybe it's Gimp Say What? That's that's the game show. Gimp Say What, or Gimp Says What. And, the show features different Gimps, and it's a game show where people have to guess what they're saying. They have to guess the... So you have to guess what I said there. Or, I don't know, maybe we have to keep it to phrases that are more familiar, I guess, so that you kind of have something to go on, So maybe, I don't know, idioms or, some kind of cliche phrase or something like that. Or maybe movie titles too, So I'll play this game with you for a little bit if you want, but guess this movie title, okay? I'm gonna do a movie title, okay? What was that? Okay, here's another one. Well, I'll tell you which one that was. 3 more seconds. The Godfather Part 2. That's what that one was. Okay, here's another one. Okay, I'll do one more time for you. Okay, it's Jaws. It was Jaws. Jaws. That's what that was. And I guess I could have made it a little easier. I guess maybe if you can't get it based on the title, they can do it kind of like, whoa, I just thought of another part. I just thought of a really good party game. Oh, this is cool. Okay. Whoa, okay, guess the Gimp. It's kind of like charades, but you have to act as though your mouth is zipped shut, and you have to get people to guess stuff. You have to get them to guess movies, or guess maybe different notable figures and stuff like that. You have to get people to, or whatever. You have to just get them to guess stuff. It's like charade. It's basically like charades, but it's you have to express yourself through the restricted sonic expression of a GIMP. Maybe it's not called Guess the GIMP. Maybe it's called Gimpades, kind of as a play on charades. It's Gimpades, or Gimpstapades or something like that. Gimpstapades maybe, or something. Yeah, So yeah, that's kind of a fun idea. What? So for if you wanted somebody to guess Jaws, just going would be a little hard. So maybe you'd have to go like that. I guess humming the theme song or theme music to different movies, that would be an easy way to get the movies. Well, you can play at different levels, that's more of a junior level. But if you want to go advanced, it's spoken word. So, those are some good ideas, guys. I'm telling you, those are good ideas. It's a good game show idea. Oh yeah, the host of the game show could be a dungeon master. Imagine that. He's a dungeon master, and he brings out a GIMP, and then the contestants have to guess what the GIMP is saying. That's a cool idea. And then for the party game, it's almost like a home version of the game show. It's Guess the GIMP Home Edition or whatever. And it could come. I mean, a lot of people won't be into this, and I'm not either into it. But it could come with a GIMP mask that people have to put on when they're playing the role of the GIMP. But it's but I don't know. I don't think people are going to want to share a GIMP mask. It seems like a personal item. Bring your own GIMP mask. People. When you go bowling, a lot of people buy their own bowling shoes, and I get that. I don't want to share bowling shoes, and in the same way, I don't want to share GIMP masks with anybody. Especially, you get all this sweat and oil from people's face onto the GIMP mask. I guess that's why they make GIMP masks leather, is because they're less likely to absorb. Well, that's not true. I guess they're less prone to soaking in facial wetness or whatever than, say, something else. But leather does actually get stained. I've seen it. I've seen leather get stained before. Yeah, I've had leather bags before. I used to carry around a leather bag. You know that? I used to look like a real director. I used to wear a kind of a satchel type of thing. I used to just sort of have the strap be on me, on my across my chest, kind of a thing, across my torso, and I'd have a little bag next to me. Some people call it a man purse. I don't really like that term because it implies that purse is for women only or something like that. Well, men can have purses too. So I don't really like that term, man purse. That's not. I think it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of stuck in stereotypes or something like that. But here's another idea. What about GIMP? You have to guess the country that the GIMP is from. So you don't know. You have to just guess that based on the way they kind of the feeling of the way they speak. So here, guess this country. It's Brazil. It was Brazil. Okay, how about this one? Did you get it? That was Korea. South Korea. South Korea, specifically. What about, where else can we go in the world? Okay, check this one out. That was Sweden, I think. That one was pretty easy, I thought. Okay, how about this one? You know what it kind of sounds like? It sounds like Peanuts. It sounds like the adults in Whoa. I just had a crazy idea. Oh, the adults in Peanuts were gimps. Whoa. Whoa, that's crazy. That's a revelation. Whoa, that's a true revelation that I just realized it. Actually, I'm trying to remember how they sound. Oh, no. Do they sound closed? Do they sound zipped up? Maybe they don't, actually. Okay, you know what? I'm jumping the gun here, but that would have been a really crazy idea. I guess they kind of sound, in Peanuts, the adults sound more like this. Wah, 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 wah. Something like that, right? Wah, 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 wah. They sound kind of like that in Peanuts, you know? They go, "What your name? What happy birthday, goo? Boo do boo show do do show do bo do bo do shoo buddy boo do boo bo do 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 do." They kind of sound like that, I guess, in Peanuts. So I guess their mouth is open and just making kind of a different sound. But I just for a moment thought, yeah, maybe they were kind of gimps, you know, but I guess not. I take it back. But that did kind of that would have been a revelation. That would have been truly a revelation. So what was I thinking about here? I was trying to do England before that, by the way. You know, I don't know if you got that or not. Here, real quick, one last one. It's Canada. That was Canada. So I actually think these are kind of gettable, to be honest. One more. It's Japan. That was Japan. Okay, what about this one? That's the Philippines. And and that comes from the heart. Imagine if you were in a relationship with somebody, a romantic relationship, and there were no words. What would that be like? Would that be the most pure relationship ever? I mean, would that just be a purely emotional relationship? But I feel like what makes me emotional is it's sort of infused with some sort of intellectual connection too, or something, you know? So, okay, I get really... Look, I know you're going to say beggars can't be choosers on this, but I said this before on another episode. I'm not a beggar, okay? I am a chooser. I am not begging, okay? But I get more and more as I get older. People in general, but also women with that, I find to be, I don't know, irritating for me to listen to talk. Because the way people talk these days, more and more, is becoming a way that I just don't like the sound of. And no offense to anybody, but there's just a lot of phraseology and just a lot of just habits that people people are locked into that make them sound in a way, and this is the modern person, and with that the modern woman, that I just don't, it's a general thing, but there are these, there's these speech patterns and these words that people use that I just find to be off-putting, and I just don't like to hear it. And I hear it on the radio a lot, and I hear it talking to, just people. But, when you're talking to somebody who you might want to be romantic with, or you're interested in, you're going to be talking to that person a lot, okay? And you want that to be someone you like to hear their, whose voice you like to hear, and you like the way they talk, So that makes it harder to meet people. And again, I'm not begging, I'm choosing. And so, if say I'm going to talk on the phone with somebody for, let's say, a couple hours, I don't want to hear certain things. I don't want to hear the L word. I don't want to hear 2 L words, actually. I don't want to hear like too much. I don't want to hear the word I used incorrectly. You know me. You know these things I don't like. I want to hear someone who sounds articulate. And I'm not trying to say I'm the most articulate person myself. But I just want to hear somebody speak that I like to speak. I mean, look, I don't know, maybe none of this matters, and all that matters is really a good chemistry and a good rapport. But here's what I'm getting at, okay? What I'm getting at is that, well, what if all of that is not even a factor if we just don't use words anymore? Imagine that, a relationship without words, where the connection you have with that person is just sublime. It's just something that is, you feel, and you feel it. You feel it physically, and you feel it, you feel it in your heart. But I feel like my heart feeling is connected to my brain, I guess, or something. I don't know. I think it's all connected. I feel like I start to really like somebody because of some sort of intellectual connection, or just through words and conversation. Words do seem important, it seems, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think about what it'd be like. I mean, okay, how about get this? Imagine going on a date with somebody, just as an experiment, a date where there's no speaking. You can't speak. In fact, you have to be gimped, and you have to be even more gimped even than a typical gimp. You have to be not just zipped, mouth closed, but you have to be, your larynx has to be zipped also somehow. I don't know. You have to be fully muted. And what would that be like? I mean, do you think that you'd be able to connect with somebody? And if you did, that might be really special. I don't know. A relationship without words. I think that might be my only hope in a way, because, hey, that way I'm not going to be irritated in any kind of way. I'm just going to be, I'm going to like them for, I guess, it's interesting. Does the expression of words, is that the only way to express your personality? Not really. I guess you can express yourself through, obviously body language and sort of your eye. You can express with your eyes a lot, When I'm doing this, sorry to the listeners, but when I'm opening my eyes big like this and staring, what does that express? What country does this express? I wonder if it would be at all doable as an experiment. I think I'd like to do it as an experiment. A date without words. I don't know. I just think that it would be kind of boring or something. I don't know. It just seems like conversation and joking around. You can joke around with your eyes. I just did. So I don't know. Who knows? I'm going back and forth with this, A fully gimped relationship. Okay, you know how there's that book called Geek Love? What about a book called Gimp Love? It's a love story between two gimps. I know that's not really kind of right for a gimp. A gimp kind of usually has some sort of master, but I don't know. It's just a thought. Anyway, I'll tell you what's kind of gimped right now is, check this out. It's January right now, and I've seen at least 2 Halloween stores that are open. They are specifically Halloween stores open in January. Do you remember not that long ago? Well, I guess in August, I think. In August, I kind of predicted this. I said, oh, wow, okay, so Halloween decorations are up now. Halloween decorations went up in August last year. And I said, yeah, okay. And then, so for next year's Halloween, they're putting up Halloween decorations on November 1st. This year, meaning last year. So meaning, my point is that Halloween decorations are going up so early that they're eventually going to be year long. It's going to be Halloween year long. And it must be some sort of profit, I think, because I saw 2 Halloween stores recently in January. So the prophecy is coming to fruition here. I mean, this is Halloween is year round. It's a year round now almost. I mean, okay, Halloween decorations went down on November 1st or whatever. We had 2 months of no Halloween, and now we have Halloween for at least 10 months now. That's pretty nuts, I think. And that's a GIMP world we live in because, I was saying this too, that in a Halloween world where Halloween is year-round, that's the perfect environment for a GIMP to thrive. And I said, I don't know if I said this, but I said that a GIMP could even be, we could even have the first GIMP president if we lived in a Halloween world. And it's happening. I don't know. I just think, I can't believe it. I can't believe, sometimes my jokes, they become true. They are true Nostradamus. They are true Nostradamus-esque. Is that a word? Was Nostradamus, he was some sort of, he kind of predicted stuff, right? I don't know. I don't know. I think that's the reputation that he has, I think. Nostradamus-esque. It's kind of a weird word to say, but oh, wow. Anyway, I would vote for a GIMP for president. I would do it just to change things up a little bit, Imagine those press conferences. I don't know if I did. Did I do this act out back in August when I, prophesized this? But the State of the Union address would go, and so forth. Do you think that in let's say the 1940s, did people for Halloween dress up? I wonder if they were, okay, not the 40s. Let's say the 40s. Did people dress up as characters from Wizard of Oz? Because you know how people nowadays, they'll dress up as their favorite characters from movies and stuff. We're in the 40s for Halloween. Were people dressing up as the Scarecrow or the Tin Man or Dorothy? That was a huge movie in 1939. And I just wonder if I wonder how big Wizard of Oz mania was. I mean, that was one of the biggest movies. I think it was nominated for Best Picture. It lost to Gone with the Wind, which was directed by the same guy. And it was a big movie. And I just wonder if kids were, dressing up as those characters back then. Or, in, let's say, the 1930s, or even in the 20s, were people dressing up as Charlie Chaplin for Halloween? And then I guess, were people dressing up as Charlie Chaplin? And I don't know, were they dressing up as Buster Keaton in some kind of weird way? From some of his movie? Were they dressing up as Sherlock Jr.? If you dressed up as Sherlock Jr., I think people would confuse you as just Sherlock Sr., I think. But I just wonder how, big the merchandising was for popular movies and popular actors of, yesteryear or whatever. Imagine an Edward G. Robinson mask, that looks like this. Sorry again to the listeners. Would people do this with their face? Would they do this with their face? I mean, was that a thing? Were people doing, yeah, they must have been. People must have been doing impressions of famous actors of the 30s and 40s in the 30s and 40s, right? No, certainly they were doing that. I mean, were there, stand-up comedy back then, or just comedians in general, they weren't, it was so much more, I guess, vaudevillian in a way, or, there was just these one-liners and stuff. But were people doing impressions? I mean, how come there are not, I haven't seen it really, but there must be. I mean, certainly cartoons were doing impressions of people. Okay, well, anyway, it's happening. Yeah, actually, no, I take it back. There's a Marx Brothers movie, Monkey Business, where they do an impression of Maurice Chevalier. Okay, so whatever on that. That happened. Here's the real question. Think about this. When I was a kid, and in, let's say the 80s, my father would have me do impressions of actors and characters from the 30s and the 40s. Edward G. Robinson, which I just did. He had me doing that as a child, and those were at the time, 40-ish year, 40, 45 years, let's say about, 40, 45 years prior or something like that. Let's say, let's say it's the mid 80s, right? And then, impressions of popular people from the 40s and mid 40s, I guess. Edward G. Robinson was certainly active in the 30s, and all those people, Edward G. Robinson also, and the Marx Brothers, all those people were all active in the 30s. So that's more like, let's just say 50 years prior, okay? But whatever, it's close enough. Anyway, 40, 50 years prior, are these are 40 or 50-year-old kind of figures, and I was doing those in the 80s, and that seems like kind of an odd combo in a way, a kid in the 80s doing, doing impressions that old. Okay, now, what if I taught my nephew, you wanted to know which impressions I was doing? I was doing Edward G. Robinson. My name is Rico, see? I'm the little man with the big gun, see? Nobody pushes me around, you understand? Yeah, my name is Rico, see? Mother of mercy, is this the end of Rico? That sort of thing. And I was doing James Cagney and Jimmy Cagney. You dirty rat, you. Right? I was doing Peter Lorre. Jake, take. I can't remember how I did it, but he had me doing Peter Lorre. He had me doing, what's kind of crazy? There were some leading men, but there were also leading men who were kind of character actors too. Feels like. Then again, the point I'm about to make kind of says the same thing too. All right, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry if I'm being confusing right now. But anyway, I was doing that. I was doing Walter Brennan. I was doing, those were kind of the main ones, I would say. I'm just trying to think if there was anybody. A little bit of Cary Grant here and there. And what's her name? What's the woman who's in Grand Hotel? What's that woman's name? Why am I forgetting her name? Greta Garbo a little bit. Anyway, all right. Mainly James Cagney and Edward G. Robinson. Those are the prime ones. Okay, and Peter Lorre, actually. Okay, I didn't know what to do with it. I can't do it anymore. I guess Ren from Ren and Stimpy was supposed to be some sort of impression of Peter Lorre. But anyway, now, if I taught my nephew of today, it's the mid-20s now, and if I taught him to do impressions of, notable figures from 40, 50 years ago, you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got Sylvester Stallone. I mean, imagine. So I guess what's interesting to me is that Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, it was specifically Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually, that doesn't seem old to me. And I feel like that wouldn't seem old even to a kid now, right? There's something that feels present about Schwarzenegger even today. And I mean Schwarzenegger as he was in the 80s. So if I taught my nephew to say, I'll be back. Get to the chopper. Grab it now. Grab my hand. Do it now. First of all, that's pretty neat if he does that. And I'm going to do it, by the way. I'm going to teach him that next time I see him. Or if he was going around going, hey, yo, this is from the 70s. So, okay, 76. Okay, that was 50 years ago. We got, hey, yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Mickey, I can't do it, Mickey. Imagine my nephew, okay, at let's say the age of 5 going, hey, yo, Adrian. That would be, it's the same distance to doing James Cagney or Edward G. Robinson, but the new version of that is Schwarzenegger, Stallone. And by the way, those kind of seem like character actors, even though they're leading men. They have a lot of character. Isn't that kind of interesting? They're not just sort of an everyday guy. They have some sort of affect. So that's kind of interesting that those leading men were not, were kind of charactery in a lot of what they did. So, almost in a way, like, Sylvester Stallone, he almost kind of sounds a little bit like, like the adults in Peanuts, kind of. He kind of sounds like the adults in Peanuts a little bit, I think. Because he kind of doesn't make sense in a way. It's kind of hard to understand what he's saying. What if the adults in Peanuts were actually saying something, but it was just they had some sort of affect that made it hard to understand them? I wonder if you could kind of decode what they were saying too, I think. So, yeah, impressions from 40, 50 years ago. The new version of that are these iconic people. I guess the one big difference is that Schwarzenegger became bigger than anybody. Actually, hold on. Here's a counter. Chaplin was always big, I guess, right? Charlie Chaplin. I guess people have always been doing Charlie Chaplin impressions, I guess. I guess what I'm trying to say is I guess Schwarzenegger was was bigger than James Cagney ever was, or Edward G. Robinson. He was probably bigger than Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant, right? Schwarzenegger was one of the biggest stars of all time, kind of, because he physically was big. And, he had that accent. And I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is that it's not really about, I guess, how old the impression is or how old the figure is that you're impersonating, but it's just about how culturally known they were, how much of an impact they had. Because, when you think about Elvis impersonations, I mean, those don't seem too dated either, I guess. Elvis was big enough that an Elvis impersonation is not so dated. Then again, I don't know. I haven't really kept up with the youth. I mean, Okay, teenagers of today, do they know who Elvis is? I bet they know who Schwarzenegger is, though. Teenagers. Will my nephew, when he's a teenager, know who Schwarzenegger was? Well, certainly, because my sister is and her husband are certainly, exposing him to, 80s movies and stuff. So, anyway, I don't really have much more to say about that, but I didn't really expect this dialogue to be so focused on Gimpdom, but I guess it just worked out that way. I just had another idea. This is the last idea, and then I'm going to wrap up the main episode. But what about celebrity impersonations from a GIMP? From a GIMP. Yeah. So, okay. So keep that in mind. It's almost as if, what if blank was a GIMP? So, okay, who's this? I mean, I'm going to start. Well, here, let me think of something here. Okay, here's one. Well, who was that? It was Al Pacino. I was saying, "Hooba, boy's alive, and she's got a great ass." Something like that. I was trying to do, Pacino. I'm just getting started. Something like that. Or how about this one? It was De Niro. It wasn't a great De Niro, but maybe you got that one. All right, how about this one? How about... It was Jack Nicholson. First I started with Batman or the Joker, and then I went with... and then I got into A Few Good Men. I said, wait till the guys get a load of me. It's kind of hard to do. Maybe that's better. Here's Johnny. And then I did, earlier I did You Can't Handle the Truth. All right, you get the picture, but that's a good idea. I mean, we got a lot. You know what this whole thing would be called? It's just called GIMP Games. And you do impressions, and you do, you could actually be a funny fake commercial, actually, for a celebrity impersonator, but it's a GIMP who does all of them, or it's celebrity impersonators, but they're all GIMPs, and I don't know, something like that. Wow, the possibilities are endless, okay? But speaking of Batman, I think I'm going to tell you about this Batman book I read once when I was in junior high. But you know what? I'm not going to tell it to you right now. I'm going to tell it to you in the extended portion of the show. And who knows? Maybe I'll think of more GIMP possibilities. But if you want to check out the extended portion of the show, I'll carry on for about another half hour. You can go to patreon.com/poundcast, POUNDCAST, and the episodes do come out a couple days early there, so that's cool because I know you can't wait. I know you can't wait. Just every week you're drooling for an episode and you just think, I gotta have it. Well, you can get it at patreon.com/poundcast. And if you want to watch this show on video, you can go to youtube.com/@Brent Weinbach podcast. And what else? Brent Weinbach comedy on Instagram. That's just my thing. And then you can also, hey, look, we got these shows coming up. Ojai Playhouse, February 5th. That's a Thursday. Neil Hamburger, Mikey Campman, Angie Stroud. And just, look online how to find it. You can do it. Brea Improv in Brea, California. It's a lot of California shows, isn't there? And yeah, Brea Improv. I think Andrew Michon and the Max and Nikki comedy duo is going to kind of open that show. But that will be on February 4th, Wednesday. And then February 25th in Hollywood at the Melrose Improv. That's going to be a show. And it'll be a Brent Weinbach and Friends show. I'll probably do a half hour or maybe 40 minutes or something like that for that show. But I'll get some friends on that show. Probably Max and Nikki will be on that too. And I think that's going to be it, I think. So hope to see you in the extended. Oh, and you know what? Check out the Chicken Coop live stream chat show hangout that I do with Laura Weinbach, my sister. It's funny, and Laura's really funny. You know, I used to be the funniest person in our family, or among the siblings at least. And Laura just surpassed me. She surpassed me, and she's just way funnier. And I can't even step to her anymore, So you might want to check that out. All right, and then I think that's going to do it. Thanks for listening, and thank you to Jack Birch for his help behind the scenes. And you know what? Thank you last week to the Improv Studios for hosting us the show we did in the studio last week. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, that's it. I'm Brent Weinbach. It's the Brent Weinbach Podcast. See you next time. We'll see you in just a little bit. Bye-bye.